Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Sachit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharini. The Hindu idea of God. That is the topic I have chosen for today. So you hear all the sages telling us you must love God, you must worship God, you must try to propitiate God, you must try to win the grace of God. You know, to cross this ocean of samsara, to get out of this cycle of transmigration, to attain to our eternal abode of peace and fulfillment, the only way that we have is to reach God. So, but how am I to know God? How am I to experience God? How am I to know that realm, reach that realm, without knowing anything about that realm? So you must have some intellectual grasp first, then only you will be able to proceed with your sadhana. If you don't know anything about God, ultimate reality, no intellectual grasp, of course you cannot know the supreme divine through the intellect, but some grasp is necessary, at least some vague understanding is necessary, some concept, some idea. Then only you will be able to proceed with your sadhana. Then only you will be able to walk on the path. So what is our idea of God fundamentally, the Hindu idea of God? And how this idea of God of ours is different from that of Semitic religions, Christianity or Islam or Judaism. We shall try to explore that a bit today. Before I proceed with the topic, let me explain something about the word Hindu, what it means. You all know Swamiji speaks about this in his talk on, if I remember correctly, it is Vedanta and its practice, or Vedic religion and its practice. One of the lectures from Colombo to Almaro. You know, after his return from the West in 1897, he had given a series of lectures from Colombo to Almaro. This is one of the lectures. In one of these lectures, he explains this. The Persians called us Hindus. What they meant is the people who are living on the other side of the Sindhu river. So instead of pronouncing it as Sindhus, the people who are living on the other side of the river, because the S in Persian becomes H. As they find it difficult to pronounce yes, the yes Hindus has become Hindu because they couldn't pronounce Sindhu. What they meant is the people living on the other side of the Indus river, Sindhu river. When Greeks came, they could not even pronounce it H, he. So they dropped the H. Then we become Indus, Hindu and India. Hindu to India. So this idea, India means that H, the abode or the place, the geography where Hindus live. So it's not a who, actually, this is not the title that we have given it to ourselves. It is the Persians who started calling us the Hindus, and as the Greeks couldn't pronounce the H, they dropped, and then there's Indus, and from that Indus it came India, it became India. So whatever that may be, whatever may be the connotation, because if you use the word Hindu in its original sense, today all the people who are living on this side of the Indus river are not Hindus. Here in our country, we have Christians, we have Mohammedans, we have Parsis, we have Jains, we have Buddhists. The people of so many religions are there. So this word Hindu in that way is a misnomer. It doesn't really apply to us. It means, Hindus means all the people who are living on the other side of the Indus River. But all the people who are living on this side of the Indus River are not practicing the same religion. So the better word would be, for all of us, Vaidikas or Vedantins. The people who follow Veda Dharma. Dharma enunciated or propounded by the Vedas. That would be a better term than Hindu. But we have taken this term, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make much difference what words actually you take up. So the people who are following the Vedic Dharma, Veda Dharma, so we are all Vedikas. So what is our conception of God? Our conception of God, is it personal or impersonal? So if you just see the Upanishads speak about only impersonal Brahman. Impersonal Brahman, the description that is there in the Upanishads, if you look at it, what kind of definition they have given for God? Burhacha tad divyam achintya rupam, sukshmacha tad sukshmataram vibhati, durat sudure tadihanti kesha, pashyasvihaiva nihitam guhayam. Burhacha tad burhacha, vast, divyam, resplendent, achintya rupam, you cannot comprehend with your mind the form of the divine because it's infinite. Burhacha, vast, all-providing. Divyam achintya rupam. Sukshmacha tat sukshmataram vibhati. It is subtler than the subtlest. Very subtle. Durat sudure tadihanti kesha. It is farther than the farthest and closer than the closest. Pashyasvihaiva nihitam guhayam. Where do you see that vast, subtler than the subtlest Brahman? Nihitam guhayam. In your own heart you will be able to perceive. In one mantra is given both the personal and impersonal. In the sense, the vast, the infinite actually is also there confined in the finite. The macrocosm and the macrocosm. The vast, the infinite divine, which is all-providing spirit, is also actually is there in this finite, in this your own self, in your own being. The fundamental difference between the Semitic religions, their idea of God, and the Vedantic idea of God is, their idea of God is in heaven. Heaven is a realm, it is a sphere, somewhere in this universe. Somewhere in this universe there is a sphere, there is a realm, and there actually God resides. That is God's kingdom. Just as we have our kingdom, this earth, God has His kingdom somewhere in this universe, that is heaven. After death, if you lead a virtuous life, of course all the scriptures speak about morality and ethics only. If you conduct your life according to your scripture, okay, you will please the Lord, you will win the grace of the Lord. Then after death you will go to that heaven and you will get to reside with the Lord. That is their idea. So that is a realm somewhere in this universe. It is there. That's by belief or the faith. So if you ask questions like this, who goes there after death? After death, see, Dharma actually, a person is cremated, his body is burnt. What remains of this physical body is only ash. That ash actually we put in rivers. So, who goes there to heaven? That question you should not ask. Who goes there to heaven? Okay, something survives this body. Some subtle thing survives this body. And that subtle thing goes there. That means you have to believe in reincarnation. That means there is some soul or some subtle essence of this body and that goes there. But the idea of heaven there is, what I do there in heaven, there a lot of physical pleasure is available. So when they describe heaven also, what is there in heaven? What will I get to enjoy in the company of God? A lot of physical pleasure only is spoken of. Whatever the pleasures that you enjoy to a greater degree. So it's completely physical. If the idea of enjoyment there in heaven is also physical, but the body actually we bury or cremate here, burn here, and who will enjoy those physical pleasures? Those questions, if you ask, you don't get a rational explanation. You don't get a rational explanation, but that faith actually is good in the sense that gives a hope, because most of the times when we suffer in this world, most of our desires are not satisfied. A lot of frustration and disappointment will be there. Okay, at least the hope that next birth, after death actually I will go to heaven, a sphere, where I will get to enjoy a lot of things. That gives you kind of hope, that gives you kind of some solace, right? If you destroy that for people, actually they will be, we don't know, they will become crazy or they will become criminals. That hope is not given. So in that way, faiths are helping people a lot. That keeps them in check, that keeps them in bounds here. Because now otherwise I lose all hope. Because even 5% of desires are not being satisfied, I don't know where I will go. Okay, this is the only birth I have, so I am doomed, right? But at least that hope that after death, if I read my scripture, if I do some spiritual sadhana, as prescribed in my scripture, I am promised a better world, next life. Other questions like who goes to heaven, actually, the body is cremated or burnt here or buried here, and what I need to have a physical body to enjoy those pleasures. So all these questions actually not rationally explained. So here in the Upanishadic religion, they talk about only the impersonal principle. God not as a person, God not as residing in an abode, in a realm or in a sphere. God actually as all-pervading spirit. So if God is all-pervading spirit, He is everywhere there. Why I don't experience Him? So the Upanishad says that Yatra na chakshur gacchati, na chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, na mano. There actually the eyes cannot go, nor the speech, nor the mind. So it's beyond the senses. What is limiting you from experiencing God here itself is, though He is all-pervading, your own mind, the mind bound by the senses actually, is the limiting thing. If you drop this limiting thing, or if you transcend this limiting adjunct, and you will attain that supreme here itself. Ihaiva tairjata sargo yasham samye stitam manaha. The Lord says in the Gita. Here itself you can attain to that divine, that absolute. If you attain to that same-sightedness, attaining the same-sightedness means going beyond the pairs of opposites with which the mind is made up of. So this is actually preventing us from experiencing our real nature. That's why the Upanishad says, Pashyas vihaiva nihitam guhayam. Though the Lord is sitting in your own heart, but you won't experience Him because the mind doesn't let you get that experience. Mind is bound by senses. This mind bound by the senses is dragging you outward, and it doesn't let you see the God within. So though the Supreme is all-pervading Spirit, He is within you also. Mamaiva amsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. As the Lord says in the Gita, a part, an amsha of mine actually is there in every creature. So in that way, every creature has the possibility of experiencing that absolute. So God is both immanent and also transcendent. He is here and He is there everywhere also. That is our idea of God. There is no place where God is not there. He doesn't reside in a particular realm. There is no actual kingdom like, kingdom means certain boundaries must be there. So I am the ruler of this empire. So then He cannot be the infinite. But if you just look at the physical universe, it is infinite. So to create a physical universe which is infinite, which is boundless, the creator, the originator of the universe also must be boundless. Then only you will be able to do that. Otherwise you won't be able to do that, right? If I am limited to a particular space, and with that personality, if I have to create a universe which is infinite practically, this physical universe is endless now, the physicists are saying. Where actually it ends, nobody knows. It is so vast. So to create a physical universe which is infinite, and the creator also must be infinite. Only the infinite creator can create an infinite creation. So God is all-pervading. So really you cannot reach the end of the universe. You can't just go on, searching for God and find out that He is sitting there in that realm. He is here. He is everywhere. He is within your heart. And His greatest manifestation is within your own being. Pashyas vihaiva nihitam guhayam. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishto. Clearly He mentions actually, I am very close to you. I am just dwelling in your own heart. And actually, sitting in your own heart, I am making you do all these things. So, the easiest way to know God is to turn inward and transcend the sensory world, transcend the mind that is bound by the senses. For that, actually, tapas, sadhana is necessary. That's what our conception of God. So, then why only the personal God? So, many people of other faiths, the main criticism is you worship stones and you worship images. So how can God be confined to a stone or just an image? So our idea of God, that God is sitting in a higher realm in heaven, is a superior concept. See, but the fundamental idea of ours is that God is all-pervading spirit. Then why do we need personal gods? Or why do we need images? Why do we need temples? You need to understand that temples were not there in Vedic period. Many of the Hindus, they do not know. In Vedic period, temples were not there. Vivekananda clearly states in his lectures from Colombo to Almora, the temples were the invention of Buddhists, degraded Buddhists. Buddha actually preached against a personal God. But before 50 years of his passing away, his disciples made a great God out of him. They erected temples, then they erected image of Buddha and started worshipping him and invented all kinds of rituals, all kinds of naivedya, all kinds of prasad. So that it all started. What Buddha said actually, you just meditate. There is suffering in this world. The root cause of suffering is Trishna, desire. Conquer Trishna through intense meditation and deep reflection and attain to the divine. He did not use the word divine, attain to nirvana. Here itself you will attain to that nirvana, that state of bliss, that state of ananda, that state of total freedom. That's what Buddha said. But what his disciples did instead of doing sadhana, because to deal with our own mind is such a difficult thing. It's very problematic for us. So doing something physically at a gross level is easy. So I erect a temple for my deity, my chosen Lord. And then I put up an image. Then I worship him, with incense. I will give arati. All these things I will do. Because if I propitiate him, he will confer nirvana on me. But Buddha said, Atma Deepo Bhava, the truth is within you. I cannot give you truth. You have to explore and you have to find it of yourself. Just as truth is within me and just truth is also within you. But this is the weakness of all the followers of all the great philosophers. What they say something and these people do something else. Because you want shortcuts. What they say. 50 years, not actually after, centuries of Buddha's passing away. 50 years after his passing away, they started erecting temples. By the time Shankaracharya came, what we had inherited, a very degenerated form of Buddhism was there. Vivekananda says that all the people who have no idea, no understanding of religion, no refinement of the brain, who have come from all far off places actually, all heathens in the sense, hideous races, he says, the Baluchis, the Tartars, they brought all their idea of religion. They had some idea of religion, very crude idea of religion, very unregenerate form of religion, very preliminary form of religion. They brought into Buddhism, they all embraced Buddhism. And so the principle, the moral aspect of the teaching of Buddha they had neglected, and then they invented all these rituals and started erecting temples, and their customs and traditions, they were mixed here. And so by the time Shankaracharya came, it was a totally degenerated form of Buddhism that was existing. Buddha's Buddhism was different. What he preached was different. In 1,000 years span, it degenerated to such an extent that Shankaracharya had to revise the Vedic religion again. So the temples and rituals were not there during Vedic times. They were subsequent invention of Buddhism. And then we have adapted it from Buddhism and we are continuing with that. Is it wrong actually? Should we not worship in temples the deities? Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa worshipped the Divine Mother in temple only. But we have refined it. And we have, through the images also, we can reach God. Because if you just superimpose the principle on the image, you don't worship image as an image. All the attributes that you give to the impersonal Brahman in fact is attribute-less. And is also attribute-less, is also with attributes, you can say. Sri Ramakrishna again and again says, the ultimate Brahman is both with attributes and without attributes, because the attributes won't limit him. If he doesn't have attributes in him, how could he created this world? World with gunas. Gunas are there in God, but these gunas actually, they don't bind him. So he has created this world of name and form out of his infinite power. So the power and the God cannot be separated. Milk and its whiteness cannot be separated. Fire and its ability to burn, its power to burn cannot be separated. So he is with attributes and without attributes also. But to reach that Brahman who is beyond all attributes, I need a form. I need an image. Why? Because that is my limitation. Otherwise, if I say God is all-pervading reality, it is too abstract an idea for me. You just worship God who is everywhere there. How am I to worship? How am I to relate myself to that divinity? It's very difficult for me because I am limited by time and space. My mind can think in terms of time and space, in terms of name and form only. Anything that has no name and form, my mind cannot grasp. So God in that way becomes ungraspable, agrahyam, achintyam, adeshyam. Adeshyam means is invisible. Something which is invisible, something which is agotram, which is not born. How am I to worship? Very difficult. So to relate myself to that reality, which is all-pervading spirit, which is very subtle, which is abstract, I actually erect a temple, I put up an image. And when you just see our stotras, our hymns, all actually with regard to impersonal only. Anantam, Avyayam, when we describe God, actually we use all these adjectives. He is infinite, actually he is indestructible. So all are actually impersonal attributes and qualities which can be given only to the impersonal Brahman. All-pervading spirit. Then you are saying in the hymn that he is all-pervading spirit, but actually you are worshipping him in an image. Why? So I am not worshipping the image as an image. Through the image, actually, I want to reach that impersonal. Through the personal, I want to reach the personal. So in this culture, though the primary understanding of God is impersonal, there is a lot of scope for personal also. So much of impersonal law has been preached, impersonal principle has been taught. At the same time, there's plenty of scope for personalities in this culture. So people have come to the understanding of the rishis. To reach that supreme, to go beyond the mind, you have to follow dharma. You have to follow dharma. And to follow dharma, how am I to follow dharma? If somebody had already actually followed dharma and attained to that truth, that he would become my role model. It would be easy for me to follow in his footsteps and reach the truth. When we worship incarnations like Rama and Krishna, so that is our idea, because they set themselves as an examples. So the highest authority for us actually is Vedas. The impersonal Brahman preached by the Vedas actually is the ultimate understanding of God, because there the ultimate unity is reached. The goal of science, the goal of philosophy, the goal of religion, the goal of spirituality, all branches of knowledge, the ultimate goal is to reach that unity, to reach that one fundamental truth, one fundamental intelligence which explains the whole universe. In Upanishads, in Vedas, it has been reached and there is nothing more. Then they are called Shrutis, they are the highest authority with regard to God. And Vedas are the authority for Krishna and Rama, and Rama and Krishna are not the authority for Vedas. Vedas is the ultimate. Whatever that is mentioned is the ultimate. That's called Shruti. And Krishna we worship, Rama we worship, because they were the best exponents of Vedas. They were the people who had embodied the principles contained in the Vedas. So that's how the personal God comes into picture. Had they been not there, it would be very difficult for me to grasp the abstract truth impersonal Brahman preached in the Vedas. And now it is easy for me because Krishna had embodied all the principles that were contained in the Vedas. So I take Krishna as my chosen deity and I worship him. When I say that I worship him, all the qualities that he had exhibited in his persona, they would manifest through me also after some time. That is the idea of worship. Okay? All the qualities that Rama had embodied, he says, ideal son, ideal husband, ideal king, ideal brother. You should be like him. All the qualities that he had embodied should find expression through you also. Then you would attain to the highest, which Rama had attained. So the Rama and Krishna, Ramakrishna, all these incarnations whom we worship here as personal gods. So not that we are worshipping just a human being. The people who had embodied the highest principles mentioned in the Upanishads in human form, they become our deities. Otherwise, if these people were not there, if we were to imagine a god of our own, you can't imagine a better god than Rama or Krishna. Even they are not historical personalities. Can you? Okay, you cannot worship the impersonal abstract. God is all-pervading spirit. I don't see him anyway. I don't understand him. Now I have to worship God. How am I to? Whom else I will worship? I have to form my own God. I have to make my own God. I have to conceive my own God. Would you be able to conceive a better God than Rama or Krishna? So as the Lord says, the impersonal, when Krishna said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, he was not speaking as a personal Krishna. He was speaking to Arjuna as that impersonal Brahman. You must understand actually in Bhagavad Gita when Krishna says, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So in my presence actually, the Prakriti does the whole thing. He was talking about himself as the impersonal abstract absolute, not actually as son of Vasudeva. He was not talking in that way. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate. He was talking himself as an impersonal Brahman. He put himself in the shoes of the impersonal Brahman. How would it be possible for Krishna, a human form, to create this universe? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. When the dharma declines actually, through dharma you will attain to that impersonal Brahman. And how to practice that dharma? What is dharma? So we get confused. And today people are thinking that they are very moral, not the people who are not that moral also, they think actually this is how you need to live. So God comes in human form, that's what we call incarnation. So we are all human beings, we want an example. He comes in human form and he embodies those ideals contained in the Upanishads and Vedas. And this is how actually you have to adopt dharma in your life. This is how you have to practice dharma. If you practice dharma in this way, you will attain to that impersonal abstract Brahman, which is my real nature. So Krishna, when you see the Bhagavad Gita, he was actually shuttling between both the personal and the impersonal. He was swinging between both the personal and the impersonal. Mostly, actually, he was speaking as an impersonal Brahman only, not actually as the son of Vasudeva. Not as a person he was speaking. He was speaking the language of the impersonal abstract, impersonal absolute. Because he was the best embodiment of that impersonal abstract. So the Lord actually, we know that actually. He has the whole of the world is His creation. All creatures, all beings are His children. He descends onto this earth to help them to reach the truth. So He embodies those principles. So that's why the personal people worship sometimes criticize us. You worship human beings as God. How can God be a human being? How can God come in human form? The people of Semitic religions have these doubts. So, to reach that impersonal abstract, that is our goal, that is our objective. But if you leave it to me, it would be difficult for me to reach that abstract principle. That's why I need a role model. I need somebody actually who had embodied it before and reached the truth. So, Buddha, Vivekananda, Rama, Krishna, they would form our images. They would form our role models. They would form our real examples to reach the truth. So the impersonal and the personal, both are there. They found the fullest expression in Sanatana Dharma. Most of the religions, the Semitic religions, which claim that they worship the impersonal absolute, but that is not the truth. Because when you say that God actually is dwelling in heaven, you are confining to him to a realm. He is not the absolute. Absolute cannot be confined to a realm. Absolute alone can be the infinite. When you say that He is there in some particular space, there you are saying that He is also limited. He has His own kingdom. He has His own area. He has His own jurisdiction. In that way, when you say that He is the King of the universe, He must be everywhere. Sitting in a corner of the universe, you cannot create this infinite universe, right? So those are all limited ideas. They have not found full fruition. They have not found full fruition there. They are trying to express the divine. Everybody is exploring in his way or her way. But here in Sanatana Dharma, in the land of Aryans, the religion found its full expression. It reached its culmination, as it were. They have reached the last word. This is the last word in religion, that the unity, ultimate unity. There is only one existence, that is Brahman. That Brahman actually created or projected, whichever word you like, you can. He has created this. He is infinite by nature. But to reach that infinite, this is the way you have to follow Dharma. Then that the Chaturveda Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they have seen. Artha, Kamas you can enjoy, because as human beings, we come into this world with only the sensory system. The mind and the senses. Mind and senses, that's how actually the embodiment takes place. That's how actually the body you get the body. If you are totally desireless, if you are no craving, in just previous birth itself you have dropped all your craving for sensory enjoyments, you would not have got the body, right? The very fact that you have come into the world with a physical and psychological system is a proof that you are bound by the senses. To transcend the senses is the goal. For that actually sadhana is necessary, austerity is necessary, tapas is necessary, patience is necessary, perseverance is necessary. In one birth you may not get, but you should not get discouraged or disheartened. You must strive and strive and strive. You will attain to the divine in one birth, for sure. Buddha had embodied, he had 547 embodiments. Around 50 times or 55 times he was born as an ascetic, He was a sannyasi in his previous births also, many times. Not that in the last birth when he was born as the son of Shuddhodana, he became actually sannyasin. In previous births also he was a sannyasin, but in that birth he could not get God. He could not attain to the nirvana. He tried his best, but his strength was not sufficient. That's why the Lord says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam vipsiddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Many tests you have to pass. Not a simple test. But it's a great adventure. It's a great adventure. If you are a real being, actually, you take up this adventure. It doesn't mean, the Swami says, if I don't get fresh water, shall I drink from the ditch? I will not. I will die of thirst, he says. You will confine yourself only the world of senses. At least some little struggle you must display. So let me become the infinite. Let me go beyond this thraldom of the senses. Let me go beyond this confine of the senses. Let me go beyond these clutches of the physical and the psychological. Let me assert my real nature, the infinite nature, my Atman nature. Let me assert my true spirit. So you keep on doing this, rejecting the lower, and the higher will manifest automatically. At least a few steps you take towards the truth. We may not attain to the divine in this birth itself, it doesn't matter. It depends upon the degree of vairagya, degree of dispassion that you have. So if you just use your discretion and discrimination, you will find that, as we discussed in the last class also, the world, it doesn't bring us happiness without bringing misery. The Swami says beautifully, happiness presents itself before man, wearing the crown of sorrow on its head. So whoever invites happiness here will default. You have to invite misery also in the same proportion. No, I want only this. I will find some shortcuts for that, where I can have only happiness to the exclusion of unhappiness. There is no such thing. God has not designed it in that way. Okay? He has designed it in such a way. If you use just your common sense and if you use your discretion and discrimination, you will find that anything that you touch, it brings both happiness and misery. Okay? But still we have the hope that, no, I am the only fortunate person in this world. I will be the only fortunate person in this world who will get only happiness to the exclusion of misery. Nobody will get it. Whatever you might do, however hard you might try, any experiments you make with money, power, name and fame, okay, popularity, nothing. You will get both pain and pleasure in equal measure. And so people have understood that this world is made up of pairs of opposites. The only way is to transcend, to go beyond. As long as there is mind, you will have both pain and pleasure. So the solution to the problem is to transcend the mind itself. Then the search started, then the inquiry started. What is mind? Made up of pairs of opposites, made up of this ahankara, or aham, I am. So let me go beyond that. They had to struggle a lot, because this formation, this mind and body, this formation, actually it came only through desire. Now to let go that desire means just to let go this body mind itself. Just practically it's like seeking death. It appears like that, but it's not death. It appears like that. It's death. So I don't want neither the body nor the mind. So because I am by nature absolute, I am by nature soul, I am by nature consciousness, bliss, absolute. Ananda is my sarupa. Why should I enjoy things through this mind and body? I don't need. So you practice, and when you develop complete detachment from the physical and the psychological, then you will transcend the pairs of opposites. Then you don't need any body, physical body. You will not get embodiments thereafter. No reincarnation for you. You are merged into the absolute once for all. That's what the Upanishads speak of. Okay? Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Uttarayana is that, the solar path. Through solar path, if you practice renunciation, if you practice austerity, if you practice tapas, you will attain to that realm, Satyaloka, through the solar path. But if you cultivate desires and, if you do yajnas or whatever the charity that you perform, but you have desire, you want to enjoy name and fame, you want to enjoy better health, you want to have better embodiment next birth, you will have lunar path, Chandrayana, and then you will come back to this world. Kshine punya martyalokam vishanti. Your punya will get exhausted and again you will come back to this world. The concept of heaven is there in our religion also. Sanatana Dharma also, the concept of heaven is there. Our idea of heaven is, you perform some good actions here with the intention of enjoying them more intensely, sensory pleasures in the next world. Okay? And then what? You will get, along with the soul and subtle body, you will get a resplendent body, a divine body you will get. And in the subtle body you will enjoy the subtle pleasures, let us say. There is a realm called heaven, Swarga. Indra will be there, all that bhoga is offered here also. But how long you will enjoy? As long as you have the punya loss. But your merit will get exhausted after a period of time. Then again you will have to be born on this earth. You will be reborn. So, Kriyane Punya Martilokam Vishanti. That's why people have understood. So, there is no point even in going to heaven. You will have to come back onto the earth. So, it delays the journey to the truth, to God, to the ultimate. That's why the Shankaracharya says, Iha Amutra Falabhoga Virag, the desire to enjoy things either in this world or the next world, namely Swarga, you must give up. Then only you will have the truth. Then only it is possible to have the truth. So, but renunciation, everybody is afraid. But this renunciation is nothing when you understand that what you are going to attain, what you are going to achieve is something so grand, something so majestic, something so inconceivable from the present perspective, from the present state of mind. Because the reward that you will get, actually, you can't even comprehend. That is the problem. Not many people strive for it. God has created the world in such a way, this finite and that infinite has no match, no comparison. The present existence is a ridiculous existence. From this existence to that, from this ridiculous to that sublime, okay, it's too vast a difference, too phenomenally difference. That's why Buddha or our Upanishadic sages, when they had experienced the truth, they could not contain the happiness. It was so extraordinary, so profound, and they couldn't describe in words. Of course, nobody can. Because avang manasa gochara, that state is beyond mind and speech. There is no way you can explain it. There is no way you can speak to others about that experience. You have to intuitively sense it and then do the sadhana to reach to that realm. For that, actually, the greatest aid is renunciation, tapas, penance. And so, earlier days, they used to say, oh my child, do tapas, do tapas, do tapas, attain truth, attain God, attain God. Today, no such language. Nobody is interested in tapas, nobody is interested in God. We have made God an orphan. The king of the world has become an orphan because God's children, they don't seek God. Children, they don't seek father. Father would be disappointed, all right. So this idea of God as father and mother also has come in Puranas because he is immanent also, because he is within us, because we breathe because of him. Our heart palpitates because of him. Okay, everything happens because of him. Your physical father and mother also exist because of him. So he is the father of your father, he is the mother of your mother. So he is the ultimate father and ultimate mother. It's he who supports all beings. It's he who gives us everything. And so, because he is also the father and mother, so you have to remember him, you have to worship him, you have to win his grace, and you have to attain to the absolute. So this is far easier form of religion than actually doing meditation, meditation the abstract. Because over a period of time, as Swami says, the Shrutis and Shmutis, the Shrutis, the Vedas are the highest authority, but as the language that the Upanishads speak is very abstract for a common man to understand, the Rishis have understood the problems of future generations, the spiritual problem of future generation. Will they be able to grasp these ideas? Will they be able to put these ideas into practice? Or they will find it difficult to understand, even intellectually? So then they have given us this Smritis, the Puranas, and other things, Mahabharatas, Itihasas. So where actually all the principles that they mentioned in the Upanishads were actually given an anthropomorphic form, as it were. They were put in the form of characters. So, for example, Mahabharata, when you read, there is a battle between Dharma and Adharma, right? Basically, a battle between Dharma and Adharma, constant fight. Different minds are working in different directions. Duryodhana, an embodiment of Adharma. Yudhishthira, an embodiment of Dharma. So you have to choose your role, whether you want to identify with Duryodhana or whether you want to identify with Yudhishthira. If you want to identify with Yudhishthira, you will attain truth. If you identify with Duryodhana, you will be reborn again as a wicked human being, right? The choice they are given, how to practice these things. Why Dharma becomes important? If you want to know the truth, Dharma becomes important. But if this world is everything for you, I don't want Dharma, I don't know anything about the next world, I don't care for that, okay? This world is the only world I understand and I experience. So I want to have the best from this world. Let me enjoy as much as I can, as long as I live. If that is your idea, you will not care for Dharma. That's what is happening in today's society, right? Nobody wants Dharma because nobody has God realization as their goal. If God realization is your goal, Dharma becomes supremely important for you. You will not care for the things of this world. You will hold on to the truth and to Dharma, even at the expense of your life. That kind of willpower you will gain only when God becomes your goal. So this is a human embodiment. This is a precious instrument for attaining the truth. There is no other instrument which is superior to this human instrument to attain to the truth. So if you resolve to practice Dharma, there will be a number of temptations. There will be a number of temptations. Krishna tempted Karna, but Karna did not succumb to Krishna's temptation. Not as an impersonal one, even personal also he tempted. Krishna goes before the war to Karna and says, you come to the side of the Pandavas. Pandavas are your brothers. Karna says, I cannot come now. Okay, even after telling that they are your own brothers. Duryodhana is your cousin, but the Pandavas are your brothers. So you come to their side and you will become the king. The temptation, see, Yudhishthira won't be the king. War won't be there, right? Because Duryodhana was relying on Karna. If Karna changes sides, had he gone to the side of the Pandavas, there would not have been Kurukshetra war. And Krishna promises him that you will be the king. You will be the king. Draupadi will take you as a sixth husband. We all will be behind you. All the Pandavas will be behind, the five Pandavas. Your brothers will serve you. Your chariot will be in front, my chariot will be behind. What a great temptation Krishna offers. Bribe. Karna says, no, Krishna, I can't turn treacherous to my good friend Duryodhana, he says. It won't be proper on my part to cheat my friend at this point of time. My conscience doesn't agree to that. It will be adharma on my part. See, one man's practicing sudharma, forced a battle on the clan. How many lakhs died in Kurukshetra, we do not know. But one man's practicing sudharma. And in that kind of temptation also, he practices dharma. Krishna appreciated Karna's stand at the bottom of the heart. Nothing could tempt him. Because he knew the blood was very pure, dharma. A number of temptations they could withstand. Today body is there, tomorrow it's not there. Just for the sake of paltry, worldly attainments, should I compromise with dharma? These are our heroes, but we don't get to study them now. That is the problem. That heroism, that moral heroism, that is not actually being seen in the world. Physical courage and physical heroism is so frequent. Everybody is ready to, do something physically. If somebody slaps and he wants to slap you more. But that courage actually is not being shown at a moral level. Somebody comes and offers you bribe. No, you are not able to say. This is the problem. Moral courage, why don't you display? So physical courage is so common and moral courage is so uncommon. Because God is not your goal. And still you claim yourself to be Hindus. Hindu means primarily spiritual. That's all. That is the greatness of this Aryan race. They Aryan people have never cared. Your forefathers never cared for these paltry pleasures of the world. The world is of three-day duration. They rejected it in toto because philosophy says it's all just dream, projection of the mind. And so then today actually you're so bound to this physical world as if it's an eternal reality. And everybody actually conducts himself or herself in such a way as if this world is there for you for eternity, and as if we are all immortals. We conduct ourselves. The way people are accumulating things, the way people accumulate properties, as if they are going to be here forever. Today you are there, tomorrow you are not there. Take it easy. The worldly goals, don't take them so seriously. The world itself is a dream. Every book is saying, every scripture is saying, every scripture of Sanatana Dharma, there is something beyond. To reach that beyond, use your energy, use your intelligence, use your time. That is the message. And we have ignored the message of the sages, and that is to our peril. That is happening, that we see what kind of society we have created today. And now people have the belief that because of our religion actually we have become a poor country. Not because of religion, not because of dharma. Not at all. You never care to practice the truths. So neither the material world nor the spiritual world. We have lost both because we have become kind of hypocrites. But had we stuck to dharma, we would have been the best of the race in the world today also. The whole world would have bowed at our feet. Still, we miss that opportunity because we have neglected the teachings of our rishis and sages. Swamiji clearly says all the problems of the country, social, economical, all the problems will be solved if you hold on to your spiritual ideal. That's all he says. It contains everything. It is the ultimate knowledge. There is nothing more to know. There is nothing more to grasp. There is nothing more to experience than that. But that primary knowledge, the highest knowledge, is totally neglected. So the rishis, out of their infinite compassion, as they could foresee the future, generations' capacity, intellectual capacity, they would not be able to grasp these abstract truths contained in the Upanishads. They actually gave us smrutis, Puranas. Smrutis means the Puranas and Itihasas. So they actually, the impersonal principle, they explain through persons. That's why I'm saying that you want to identify with Yudhishthira or identify with Duryodhana. Everybody says, I want to identify with Yudhishthira only. But you don't understand what it means to identify with Yudhishthira. You have to make a lot of sacrifices. We are default Duryodhanas. You find so many Duryodhanas in society today. So much of lobha clearly seen, Matsarya. The thing is easy, you think, actually, to play the role of Yudhishthira. Not easy. You have to strive hard. You have to come to tapasya, then only it will happen. You have to have the grace of the Lord. Unconsciously, we are not conscious rather, but unconsciously we actually tend to gravitate more towards the role of Duryodhana than to Yudhishthira. And if you really understand what it means to, imitate the role of Yudhishthira, then tapasya will come into your life. But that is not there. So that's why the Mahabharata, they have created all these impersonal principles to reach that absolute. Okay, you have to have dharma, you have to follow dharma. And they created a set of characters who followed dharma. And of course, all the people who had followed dharma, they had to suffer a lot in the material world. That's why actually it doesn't appeal to us much. But you will be able to bear that suffering, okay, with great patience and perseverance. If you will be able to bear, but your goal is moksha, if your goal is nirvana, that suffering is no suffering for you. It doesn't touch you at all. It doesn't touch you at all. But if that goal is not there, even little suffering also becomes too huge. If you really understand the goal, if you really understand, the glory of attaining to that Brahman or the truth, through this small and tiny embodiment, no temptation will really form a temptation. No suffering is a suffering. Any suffering, any kind of suffering that comes when you practice dharma or when you walk on the path of the truth will be welcome for you. So you will not care. You will not suffer as much as you imagine. Because the goal is so grand. So one body, I am ready even to die for that ideal. You will die for the ideal, gladly, joyously. You will die for the ideal gladly and joyously. But when that ideal is not set, if it is not given, then naturally, at every point of time, compromises only. There's little temptation, we get succumbed to that. And life becomes very narrow, and its soul in the body it contracts, it keeps contracting as it were. Afterwards, the sage comes and tells us, your truth, actually, the divine is within you, you are the divine spark. No, we don't understand it because it's so contracted. The manifestation is very dim. The prakasha, the light actually is very dim. The light of Atman is very dim. Because you've been practicing adharma. What happens when adharma, you practice adharma, your soul contracts as it were. The manifestation of the divinity, you yourself are blocking in ignorance. If you practice dharma, it finds better and better expression. And that's why dharma is important. So, Chaturvida Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. You can enjoy Kama and Artha, but they must become subservient to Dharma. So, the righteousness, this is important because Moksha is your goal. We can't just drop Kama and Artha just like that, definitely. Fundamentally, we are made up of the senses, right? So, we need Kama and we need actually Artha, but they can be enjoyed. Not that actually pure renunciation they have preached. They have not preached an impossible idea. Our rishis have not preached an impossible idea. They have made it more practical than we can ever imagine to be. They said, you can enjoy Kama and Artha, but follow Dharma, stick to Dharma. While I am actually enjoying these things, am I true to Dharma? If I am not, I am entangling myself more. I am going backward. I am not going forward. I am not going towards the truth. I am going away from truth. So it is ignorance, right? You are actually blocking your own progress. And all the people in the world, they do not know actually what conduces to the true welfare, what this journey means, what this life means, where we go after death, what comes with us post-death. What follows? Nothing follows us. Nothing material follows us. Only the punya karma, the tapas that you have done, the penance that you have done, that only will come to us. As though actually the impersonal principle is preached, though we have adopted this concept of temple and images from Buddhists, and we have refined and we have modified it. And as Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself had realized the truth by worshipping the divine through an image in a temple. And just he wanted to set us, because you have already created so many temples. This is how you need to worship. If you have to worship the divine through an image, this is how you have to worship. He himself had set himself as an example for us. But that kind of worship is not to be obtained in many temples, right? These all become places of commercial activity today. Unfortunate, again. But we have the ideal here. Sri Ramakrishna himself was a priest, himself was a pujari. How an ideal pujari should be, how an ideal sadhaka should be, how somebody wants to know the truth through an image worship. This is how it has to be done. He has proved, he has demonstrated in his life. So many people go there. Why we go to temples? Why go to pilgrimage? So many people will pilgrimage places. They go there and they think of God. With the idea of God, you go there. And so many people congregate with the idea of God. The place becomes sacred. And we need to create such consecrated spaces. We can't just individually create in our home unless you are very enlightened or highly advanced sadhaka. But most of us today, unfortunately again, are using temples as places for expiating our sin. To that level, we have degenerated the ideal. Temples have become places to expiate our sin. So you go there, you do some ritual, and then you think actually your sin has been expiated. You come back and you indulge in the same kind of sinful activities. And we don't understand that we are cheating ourselves. You are not cheating God. Through such an activity, we are cheating ourselves. You are blocking your own spiritual progress. You can't be so low, right? Not necessary. Okay, you have done sinful activities, okay. From tomorrow onwards, I will check this tendency in me to indulge in this kind of unrighteous activity. Because my goal is moksha. That's for your own welfare only. You have the possibility to reach the absolute, to make the whole universe your own. Why you are actually going for these paltry things? Why you want to own the universe in piecemeal, in part? You can own the whole universe itself once you become the spirit, because spirit is infinite. The whole universe becomes yours. All the suns, all the planets, all the stars that are there in this universe become yours. You can be the owner of the whole universe if you become God, if you become the spirit. Why you want to own this? You can't even own this physical body because death takes it away. So you have to become spirit. You have to come to the truth. So that is real ambition. People think that I am ambitious. No, I don't see people with real ambition. They are not ambitious in any sense of the word. They are very narrow, constipated ambition. At least here actually you can be a great ambition. To know God, to know truth is a real ambition. Young people should have this kind of ambition. I don't want actually any short-term goals or narrow objectives, narrow goals, limited goals. Have the highest. That's all. You can. For here actually you don't need money also. No money is required. No struggle is there. God is within you because Sri Ramakrishna Prabha didn't touch money. Ramana Maharshi didn't touch money practically, but attained to the highest truth. So easy if everybody is on that path, you can create wonderful society, right? All human beings will become God-like, where nobody cares for money, nobody cares for power, nobody cares for name and fame. Everybody would become unselfish, because I don't need, because I am trying for the divine, I am trying for the absolute, I am trying for the infinite, I am trying for the ultimate. Because this ultimate goal is not there, you have only these material goals, and then we are pushing and jostling, okay? Trying to exploit others or trying to grow at the expense of others. Naturally, all our energies will contract and keep contracting further. And they don't experience life in full measure. They will experience only in a tiny measure. Very small measure you experience life. The full scope, the full ambit of life, you will miss it. If you have short-term goals, very narrow goals, to know the truth, how much I will be able to know, how much of sadhana I will be able to do. Different people have different capacities, right? No two individuals have the same capacity. You and I don't have the same capacity as Sri Ramakrishna had. It doesn't matter, but few steps you will be able to take towards the truth. That is a blessing for you. So let us all seek that blessing. May Sri Ramakrishna help us, have that highest ambition of realizing the truth. We shall meditate for 2 minutes before we disperse.
Kandana Bhava Bandhana Jagadbandhana Jnana